All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the actual neuroscience behind your money and your marriage. We're talking about the fascinating phenomenon of the piggy bank and the shopping cart. We're taking some seriously complex research, specifically the brilliant work of Scott Rick, and breaking it down so it makes sense. And look, this isn't just fluffy relationship advice. We are looking at cold, hard data on how our brains literally handle money and how that very biological hardware dictates who we fall in love with, and honestly, why we fight.
So picture this for a second. You're staring at your screen. Your cursor is hovering right over that confirm purchase button, and you are about to drop over $1,000 on a single concert ticket. What is actually happening inside your head at that exact split-second moment? Does your brain scream at you to step away from the keyboard, or does it whisper, hey, life is short, just buy the ticket? You see, that visceral reaction you get at the checkout screen isn't just some philosophical choice you're making. It's a physiological event happening inside your skull. It is biological hardware, not just software.
To prove this, researchers actually put people inside an fMRI brain scanner just to see what happens when they look at a price tag. And the results? Absolutely wild. When participants saw a price, this specific region of the brain called the insula lit up like a Christmas tree. Now, why does that matter? Because the insula is the exact same region that processes literal physical pain, like touching a hot stove. That means for a lot of people, spending money causes physiological distress. The higher the price, the more the brain literally screams, ouch. And this neurological reality creates two completely different types of people. On one hand, we have the piggy banks. These folks make up about 25% of the population, and they feel intense physical pain when they spend money. Even if their shoes are literally falling apart, handing over cash physically hurts them. On the other hand, making up about 15% of the population, you've got the shopping carts. For them, spending is completely frictionless. Their insula basically stays asleep. They feel zero pain when they buy something, which means money just slips right through their fingers. Because shopping carts don't feel that pain of paying, they develop this massive cognitive blind spot. They know what their income is, but their expenses? Virtually invisible. Take the legendary entertainer Sammy Davis Jr., for example. He once spent $600, which, by the way, was an absolute fortune back then, just to have a cigarette case engraved for a buddy. When someone asked him if maybe that was a bit too expensive, his response hit the nail on the head. He judged the expense through relative comparison, not the absolute number. That anecdote right there perfectly captures the extreme shopping cart mindset. That $600 felt like absolutely nothing compared to the mountain of debt he already had. To a shopping cart, once the wallet is open, the threshold for future spending just falls off a cliff. They suffer from this what the hell effect, where buying one thing somehow instantly justifies buying three more. Why? Because there's literally no mental friction to stop them. But here's the crazy part. Your profile has almost nothing to do with how much money you actually make. You can be a high-earning shopping cart pulling in a massive salary and still find yourself totally drowning in debt. On the flip side, you can be a wealthy piggy bank with flawless credit, a huge portfolio, and still suffer from what we call money dysmorphia. This is when you constantly convert every single price tag into a stressful opportunity cost, equating a new jacket to a month of utility bills. You end up living in this self-imposed state of anxiety, feeling incredibly poor even though you have immense financial security. So if our individual brains handle money this differently, what happens when you put these people together? You'd probably assume people marry someone just like them, right? Nope. The data reveals a staggering statistic. 58% of married couples are mixed pairs. That's right, way over half of all marriages consist of one piggy bank and one shopping cart. Opposites don't just attract, they completely dominate the marriage statistics. Now, why in the world does this happen? It's because the dating ecosystem heavily rewards complementary traits. Think about it. When you're dating, a piggy bank looks at a shopping cart and sees this thrilling, free spirit who pulls them out of their anxious little shell. And the shopping cart looks at the piggy bank and sees this much-needed grounding and a secure future. During the honeymoon phase, these differences feel intoxicatingly perfect. But, as we all know, marriage is not dating. It's the daily, unglamorous grind of groceries and electric bills. And the numbers reveal this wild mathematical sweet spot paradox. Double piggy banks, they have huge savings but a pretty miserable quality of life. Double shopping carts, they're having a blast, but they're drowning in debt. Mixed couples actually hit the perfect financial balance. Great savings, manageable debt. But here is the kicker. They pay for that financial balance with the absolute lowest marital satisfaction. The friction just acts like sandpaper on their relationship. And this unhappiness happens because financial arguments are almost never actually about the dollars and cents. When a piggy bank gets upset about a purchase, the shopping cart doesn't hear a budget critique, they hear you think I'm immature. And when a shopping cart says, hey, loosen up, the piggy bank hears you don't care about our family's safety. They are literally speaking totally different emotional languages and viewing money through completely different biological lenses.
All right, part one, hacking your spending hardware. You can't just white knuckle a compromise here. You literally have to trick your brain's hardwiring.
So let's look at how both profiles can hack their biology. For the piggy banks out there, your insula is constantly screaming at you. To bypass those pain centers, you have to change how you frame things. If you view a $1,000 pair of running shoes as a simple expense, it's going to hurt. But if you reframe it as an investment in 3 years of joint health, the mental resistance plummets. Secondly, piggy banks absolutely must set a rigid, explicitly labeled indulgence budget. By granting yourself permission in advance, spending money on a rational fun isn't a failure, it's actually just sticking to the plan. Now, shopping carts have the exact opposite problem. You guys need to manually introduce speed bumps to create friction. First things first, use physical cash. Studies show that credit card users are 30% less likely to even remember how much they spent because swiping plastic simply doesn't trigger the brain's pain centers. Second, enforce a strict 24-hour rule for online carts to let that dopamine spike crash. And third, consciously visualize concrete opportunity costs before you check out. Tell yourself, if I buy this jacket, I am actively choosing not to take a weekend trip. You have to make the alternative feel real.
Moving on to part two, navigating shared battlefields. We've hacked the individual, but what happens when you have to navigate the absolute minefields of giving gifts and raising kids? The modern instinct is to just ask your partner what they want, right? Guarantee they like it. But honestly, this creates massive relational distance. You miss the opportunity to send the deepest signal possible, which is, I pay attention to you. A piggy bank might buy a generic, cheaper substitute, which makes their partner feel undervalued. A shopping cart might buy something flashy but totally thoughtless. Just paying attention to those small, passing comments and delivering on them later is what actually builds deep intimacy. The price tag doesn't even matter. And when it comes to raising kids, the research provides this flawless compromise rule. For material goods, listen to the piggy bank. Less is more. Studies show that kids with 16 toys exhibit significantly lower focus and worse play quality than kids with just 4 toys. But for experiences, listen to the shopping cart. Splurge generously on family trips and adventures. Those experiences pay massive emotional dividends for years in the form of core memories. So, rationalize the toys, but fund the experiences. Which brings us to part 3, the perfect bank account. How should you structure the actual plumbing of your shared finances? Well, researchers tracked 230 couples over 2 years to figure this out. The results were clear. Couples who kept their accounts totally separate saw a significant decline in marital quality. Why? Because separate accounts foster an exchange relationship. It basically forces you to constantly keep score, I paid for dinner, you owe me for the groceries. It quietly turns your marriage into a transactional business deal between roommates. A joint account, however, builds a communal relationship. When all the money flows into one pot, it ceases to be my money and your money. It becomes our money, which structurally reinforces the psychological unit of us. This data completely destroys the logic of the allowance system, where the higher earner just transfers a set amount to the lower earner. That just breathes a toxic, resentful parent-child dynamic. Instead, the data points straight to the hybrid model. All income goes into one primary joint account for shared obligations. That's the U.S. money. But from that pot, an agreed-upon equal free spending budget is automatically routed into individual accounts for each partner, and that's the me money. It honors the shared life while relentlessly protecting your individual autonomy. And this hybrid model introduces a really vital concept: financial semi-transparency. Complete transparency, where every single dollar is monitored in one pot, ruins gift surprises and sparks toxic microfights over harmless, cheap purchases. You need the power of the known unknown. You both know the other has their own spending money, you trust them with it, but you do not demand an itemized receipt. It is a mature form of trust that protects the relationship from a lot of needless friction. Establishing this trust means you gotta throw out flawed conventional wisdom, like the famous latte factor. Gurus will tell you that cutting out a $5 daily coffee will make you a millionaire in 40 years. And sure, the math is right, but structurally, it falsely assumes all consumption is a total waste of capital. It completely ignores the profound relational value of sitting in a cafe and sharing a coffee with your spouse.
Winning the financial spreadsheet by sitting home alone drinking tap water while your spouse goes out is a terrible, terrible trade over the course of decades.
To make sure you're aligned on what actually matters, you must establish calm, regular rituals for financial conversations. Please don't wait until the credit card bill is alarmingly high to interrogate each other. Sit down regularly when you're calm to ask, hey, what did we buy this month that actually brought us joy? Turn it from a stressful, emotional landmine into a shared, collaborative project. You'll quickly realize your partner isn't trying to control you. They just have a different imagination of what a good, secure life looks like.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. We live in an era of one-click buying and invisible digital wallets. Our modern tech ecosystem is perfectly engineered to weaponize the shopping cart's blind spots by making spending utterly frictionless. But at the exact same time, it completely alienates the piggy bank, who relies on tangible friction to feel safe. As tech accelerates, we have to ask ourselves, will these frictionless digital apps eventually destroy our relationships by pushing our hardwiring to the extreme? Or will they adapt to accommodate our biological financial profiles? It is definitely something to deeply consider the next time you tap your phone to pay. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep questioning the world around you and take these insights into your own financial lives.